Hi, parents. Back to reading words that might come up in parent-teacher conferences or on the report card, just so that you're clear about what they all mean. I remember going to parent-teacher conferences for my kids when they were little, and my husband would come with me, and he's super bright, well-educated guy, and we would leave those teacher conferences, and he would look at me and say, "So are they doing okay or not?" Because he wasn't really clear. He was always really super confused. And he said, "You guys just talk this teacher talk, and I don't know what you're talking about." And so I thought, well, I should make it clearer, right? I should, we should be clear. But I think the teachers, sometimes we get in our little world and we think that everybody knows all of our language. So I'm just going to put it out there for you so that you have it. So when a teacher talks about decoding, they're talking about whether a child can sound out a word. So can they go k, at, and know that that word is cat. So they're decoding the words. When they're talking about fluency, it's how quickly a child can read a passage. So are they reading that? Is it taking them an entire minute to read 10 words? Are they reading them quickly? How does it sound sort of like they're speaking, and so it's like a normal rate of speed as they read, or is it really segmented? Is it like the dog ran down the street, or is it the dog ran down the street, right? So what is their fluency? Comprehension is how much are they remembering from the story? How many questions can they answer? Can they answer direct questions from the text? And the next level is, can they make like an inference based on what they read about what's going to happen next? Or can they make a prediction? Or can they figure out, oh, I think this is happening because of something else that happened, something that the author hasn't directly told them, but they're making an inference about, if that makes sense. And that's sort of a higher level thing that, maybe second, third grade and above can do. And lastly, expression might come up some. And that's, are they, when they read, does their voice go up if it's a question, or do they have like a commanding voice if it's an exclamation point? Do they pause where there's a comma, or whether there's a period, or are they kind of reading like a robot? All right, so that's something else for you to be aware of, and that's something else for you to model when you're reading with them. It's really, the kids love it when you use different voices and stuff. So see if you can start to do that when you're reading with them, and that modeling will help them to do the same thing. The next thing I want you to think about or know about are the stages of learning how to read. So the first thing we do as teachers is we make sure they have letter recognition. So it's, do they know what all the letters are called, and can they look at the letter and say that's B, that's C, that's D? A lot of times you'll notice with the little guys, they mess up, in English at least, they mess up B and D. So there's a little trick that teachers often do. They have them, the kids can do that with their eyes, right? And then they take this off, and this is a B, and this is a D. And then you can say to them, you sleep in your bed, the E goes in the middle, and bed, that's the B, and that's the D. That's one way of doing it. There are lots of different little tricks like that, but that's something you can do with your kids to help remind them of that. Those are usually the last ones for kids to learn. The next step after they've gotten their letters down, the next step is to get all the sounds down. That's what's the phonics part. Okay, that's the phonemic awareness. Obviously, the harder ones in English are the vowels, A, E, I, O, U, because they change their sound. And they're not only just two sounds, it's a short sound and a long sound, but sometimes there's even the schwa sound that comes up. So they're kind of a big pain. So they change a lot. Another stage is blending. So auditorily blending, but also they can do it when they're writing. But blending meaning you can say the sounds to them, at, and they can say the word cat. And that's the kind of game you can play in your car. It's good practice for them. And then segmenting, meaning you can say to them, can you break the word cat into the different sounds you hear? And they can say at. They can break it down to all the different sounds they hear in the word. You want to try to make sure they're not blending two together. So for instance, like with the word frog, they would go frog instead of fur-og. Do you see what I did there? So I blended FR together in the second time. So you really want them all segmented. So frog. And see if they can do that. It's a hard skill at the beginning, and with practice it gets better, and that's going to help them a lot when they're trying to sound out words when they're writing, which is like the hardest part of writing. So that practice will really, really serve them well. All right, so those are just some basics about learning how to read. I'm going to get into more about word attack skills and some other processes for it. And again, I think I didn't mention this in the first video, but it doesn't, and as far as I'm concerned, I don't think it matters that much what language you're reading. And your teacher might have a different opinion about that, and certainly whatever they say goes. But in my opinion, if they're reading in English or in Spanish or whatever your home language is, I think it's okay. I think it's just, we just want to get them reading. So if you are more comfortable reading with them in one language, I think it's fine for them to do that. If they're really needing to work on their English more, maybe you want to have their 20 minutes at their independent level be in English, and then you can read other books in your home language. You can talk to your child's teacher about the best way to do it for your child. But really the real goal is just getting them reading. Okay, thanks.